Okay, hello. Welcome to Entrepreneur Mindset with Susan Thetford and myself. And we'd like to also welcome our guest, Lily Hudson. We're
Hello.
very excited to have you.
Thank you.
Hello. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a Nashvilleian. I have 2 adult children. Have launched myself back into business as of about 8 years ago. And, having been home for a long, long time, it's a different world out here, isn't it? It's a different world.
Sure is.
Being an entrepreneur, knowing that there's something that I want to do, some very important things that I want to teach and share and uplift. And I'm so glad we're talking about mindset today, because it's something that I do for myself every single day, is get back in that good mindset so that I can do what I'm here to do. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, every Monday, Susan and I are hosting a show, and it is about motivation, mindset, how to get yourself correct, so that way we can move forward throughout our day and our week. And then on Wednesdays, it's business mechanics. So what you really need to do to implement your strategies. And then Friday is everything about real estate. So whatever you want to know, whether it's mortgages, title, decorating tips, we're going to go live to different homes to see what you can, what the price difference is. I'm located in Palm Beach County, Florida, and I do have several businesses. I'm also an author, and Susan is up in Nashville, Tennessee.
Exactly. And the whole point of this whole blab is to inspire people who are hungry for more in their lives, to find a way to seek and fulfill their greater purpose. And I think there's no better way to begin anybody's week than with getting your mindset right. Regardless of whether you're in business or what, we've all got a story to tell. We've all got things in our past and in our histories of and those things can really block us from doing what we really want to be fulfilled and able to do. So when we were discussing who we wanted to have on the show, Lily, I said to Lorraine, I know a brain change expert that we absolutely have got to have. And I just wanted to
and we do need our brains changed.
And I have several spare ones in the back closet. Well, if it's a severe case.
That's funny.
Terrific. So tell us, Lily, because when I was thinking of going to school, I've never heard of what you do. I've never heard of a brain change expert. But this whole concept of your whole mind, body, subconscious awareness, all that is a totally, maybe it's new to me, of the last few years. So tell us what brought you into and where your interest started with this.
Well, first off, brain change expert, that's kind of a funny way to say what I'm doing. And no, I really don't have a bunch of spare brains back there, but wouldn't it be handy if we could just swap them out like clothing? What I do is I do work with mindset and with people's stories and with their motivation or a lack of motivation, just to help them move forward. Also work with people who've been through some traumatic events to help detach from that story. And sometimes you think of something, and it could have been something that happened in 2nd grade, and it was unpleasant, and all of a sudden you feel it again, right? You feel it again. And that's because your subconscious mind, you all are both nodding. We've been there, right? Your subconscious
age 5.
we can work on that. The subconscious mind records absolutely everything that you see, encounter, hear, experience, dream. That's why they can use hypnosis to help in court cases, to figure out things that someone might have seen. A hypnotist might be called in to help them see again or recall that memory. So the other part of what I do hypnosis. The other part of what I do is called emotional freedom technique, and that is also known widely now as tapping. And there we're using the acupressure meridians, same concept as acupuncture, but no needles. We're using the acupressure meridians and focused thought to detach from those events or mindsets that are counterproductive. I'll just give you an example. I shared this with Susan last night as she was giving me a training on this blab thing. I knew a woman who told me that she treated herself to some salmon. And she said, I don't usually do that. That's for the rich people. Okay. So that was her attitude, is that there are some things that I can do, and there's some things that aren't for me. They're not for me. And that keeps us stuck.
Yeah, exactly. How does maybe someone who I want to approach this to business. Someone who has that mindset, but they also want to be their own business person. How can that hold them back in ways they don't even realize?
Well, let's say that they have a passion to share something they feel like they've learned, yet they can't really figure out how to articulate it. And they get the idea in their mind that, well, I never could really speak very well. Well, maybe I don't want to go this direction. Maybe I'll try to do it this direction. Maybe I'll play smaller because I can't do that. I've always been told, the hard ones are, you'll never amount to anything. When a parent says that, or even sometimes when friends will say it to you in a joking manner, your body, your mind, and let's just call it body mind, one word, takes that in. And there's a part of you that believes it, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Another thing to understand about the subconscious is that your whole organism, your whole body is designed to keep you safe, right? That's its main job, is to keep you walking, living, breathing another day. And change is scary. So the subconscious will revert back to those old ideas. Ooh, going out here and doing something is not safe. That's new, that's different, that's not safe. Better come back here. Don't try, don't try, don't try. What do we say to our children? Don't, be careful, you might get hurt. Be careful, you might get hurt. How about just pay attention? Pay attention. Doesn't that sound better than be careful, you might get hurt?
Absolutely.
But
then go further with that. If that's how be careful, don't get hurt, how do you recognize that may well be holding you back, and how do you get past it?
And that's the trick, isn't it?
$1 million question, right?
$1 million question. So I tell people, I do a fun talk called How to Eat Anything You Want and Never Gain Another Pound. And everybody's interested in that. One aspect of that is to be aware of the chatter. Be aware of the chatter around the table. And I'll just talk about diet for a second. The chatter around the table. What do we do? Oh, it doesn't count when you're with friends, right? Does this cookie have any calories? We're always talking. We hear each other talking, but sometimes we don't hear our own thoughts. We don't even hear what comes out of our mouths. I'll be working with someone and they'll say, I can't do such and such. A few minutes later, I'll say, you said you couldn't do this. What? No, I didn't say that. I wrote it down. So we're not even paying attention to what's coming out of our mouths. The thing also is we don't, we're thinking. There's a lot of chatter in the head. Whose chatter is it? Is it your mother's chatter? Is it the bully from 5th grade, when you were 5 years old? Whose chatter is it? So it takes a degree of awareness to know that you are not your thoughts. You're not your chatter. These are just things that are swirling around you. So there's a man named Edgar Cayce who was fond of saying, watch yourself going by. Step outside yourself and just notice, almost if you're kind of up here going, look at this situation. Isn't this interesting? Okay. The current word we use, the buzzword now, is mindfulness, right?
Yeah.
So you could be mindful in a conversation. We're trying to be mindful to each other. You all are watching the feed on the right-hand side. There's stuff on the left-hand side. I'm on 2 computers. Yeah. But trying to be mindful, trying to be purposefully present in your conversations with yourself when you're putting on your makeup or preparing a presentation or going to a meeting, being aware. So that's where it starts, is awareness.
So let me ask you, when you first wake up in the morning, your first thoughts, how important are they when you wake up? Is it crucial to go on throughout your day, or is it something more where you have to keep redirecting yourself throughout the day to catch yourself when you're making a negative thought?
Well, life happens. So it is important to be aware of yourself throughout the day. That sounds like a lot of work, but it gets easier and easier. Starting off in a good frame of mind is wonderful. Sets the tone for the day, doesn't it? Many people will say start off with gratitude or appreciation, or what would you have me do today? How would you have me interact with people? Who would you have me help? That's a wonderful thought. If you can't go there, appreciate your pillow, appreciate your warm toasty bed. My husband is so great. He brings me a cup of coffee every morning. I appreciate that cup of coffee. Now,
that's nice.
It is very nice. Can I go further and say that also what's valuable is to pay attention to what you're going to sleep with, what thoughts you're going to bed with. Because if you are watching the latest crime show or the news, that can take you to a place that's not particularly productive for a restful night's sleep. So I have my clients learn a little self-hypnosis technique. You know, you're going to be with yourself, hopefully 6, 7, 8 hours. So why not put yourself in a better place to start with, right? It's almost like running your own commercial for yourself. Does that make sense?
So you know what? I think recommend?
I pulled the wrong.
Yeah, that is better.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
So to put yourself in a good state of mind, do you recommend? I know for one thing that I used to listen constantly to talk radio and to the news, and really. That was such a consistent, and honestly, there's nothing but negativity in there. And news is news, but you know, bad news is what's news. And when I quit doing that, I found that I totally had a different outlook, just a different demeanor, and it really shifted. Tell us some shifts that you can see to help people in a daily way to really make some of those shifts that are just little pieces that make a big difference.
So, Susan, you're telling me that you don't listen to talk radio and the news as much?
No longer. And I no longer, after having talked to you, I no longer listen to the news at all after 6 o'clock at night. I read, but I don't read. I mean, I do I read a lot of personal development now. The more I know, the more interested I am in it. And I had no idea. I knew sometimes that I didn't feel like my brain was big enough, but I didn't realize that's only because I use 2/3 of it, or 2% is conscious.
Yeah, that's what they say, isn't it?
I think they're right.
I think they're right. Well, one of the things that you can do, and I love that you're not watching the news as much because it's just recycled. How many times do they say the same thing, right?
Exactly.
Just as a little side trip here, after 9/11, there was a story eventually on NPR about a plane crashed into a building in New York or somewhere. The radio station was broadcasting the Metropolitan Opera, and the story broke. They said, "We interrupt this broadcast of the Metropolitan Opera to bring you breaking news. A plane has crashed into a building." They gave pertinent information, and now back to our broadcast. That was it. Now it was on later, but they didn't continue to regurgitate like we get in the news. Now that was, the 9/11 was a horrific tragedy. And I think, I don't know about y'all, but I know exactly where I was when the news broke. And I sat there for a long time in my car in a parking lot at Home Depot, watching the planes being rerouted to Nashville International to because everything was taken out of the sky then.
Right.
Watch what you are feeding yourself. You wouldn't eat a diet of only pretzels, right? You need some variation in your diet. So if you're taking in too much news, it's probably affecting you in not a wonderful way. Oh, look, I see somebody on this side who says, at night I go to bed, I use tapping to bring myself out of a stressful day. Awesome. I do the same in the morning with positive thoughts, and I tell myself I can be, yes, you can. It's a mindset I've developed. This is Walter Peterson. Terrific. Excellent. I'm glad you used tapping. Other mindset stuff, we were going to not quite go there so much right today, but
it might go that way. When somebody's interested and they know about it, it's fascinating.
It might go that way. So watch what you're thinking and notice your emotions. So just say these words with me. Say love.
Love.
Fear.
Fear.
Did you feel any difference in your body?
Mm-hmm.
Say it again. Fear.
Fear.
Sadness.
Sadness.
Grief.
Grief.
Pleasure.
Pleasure.
Fun. Friends. Can you notice a difference in your body?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Some people will feel it in their throat, some in their chest, some in their belly, particularly in the belly. We'll feel fear in the belly because that's, you think about butterflies in your stomach. We have emotions. They manifest in the body, and we call them feelings. So you can notice your body. And when you are noticing that talk radio is getting you tight and tense, and you feel it in your chest, and maybe if someone is really aware, they might even notice that their thoughts are now racing where before they were calm or slower. That's when you know that this is something that I maybe need not as much of in my day. Okay. Now, Walter, go ahead.
I was just going to ask you, so you go to bed with good thoughts in your head, calmness, possibly notice your rhythm as far as how much sleep you need and when you need to go to bed at night, because I think people stay up way too late and then they don't have as restful a sleep. So you go to bed with good thoughts, you wake up with good thoughts, and then throughout the day, you're saying that we should really be more aware and kind of look at ourselves overall to see how we're reacting to different situations. And
that helps. That helps. And particularly the fun part would be noticing when you're having a good day, and notice what it's about. What's going on that feels fun? How does it feel in my body? And then you can actually kind of anchor that memory. When you're having a bad day, you can use that memory to go back to the good day and remember how that felt and make that bigger. Spend some moments feeling a better thought. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So what you're recommending too is that when someone has a thought that is a negative thought, or maybe they feel tense or anxiety, to recognize that anxiety or tension or uncomfortableness and think about what thoughts they had or the impression that they had based on what someone else said, and try to flip it to be a more positive thought.
Sometimes you can do that and sometimes you can't. So let me just first speak to the word you used, a negative thought. Thoughts are not good or bad. They're just guidance. If you're feeling bad, you want to go to a thought that feels better, right? Does that make sense? So
that's a very interesting thing that you just said. Thoughts are guidance.
Thoughts are
not negative or positive. Thoughts are guidance.
They're there to give us guidance. If you're feeling not wonderful, don't we all want to feel better?
Sure.
Right? And if you entertain that feeling that is not wonderful, if we want to call it a negative thought, or that I can never do this, I'm not good enough thought, well, you're holding hands with that negative, let's call it negative, with that down energy, and you're going to skip around with that thought. Do you want to stay there? Do you really want to link arms with that person, that unhappiness? Or do you want to change it?
Yeah, change it, of course.
I want to change it. So, first step is always awareness. Next step, know that you're not your feelings. Third step, you can change the whole energy with just a change of words. Okay, so you're talking about flipping the thought for a more positive thought. And my opinion is, if you're just having a heck of a time, like you haven't closed any sales, or you lost a listing, or your best friend is now buying with someone else, that's kind of a downer, right? How do you get out of that? So you might be saying, I just can't do it. Separate yourself from the feeling instead of, I can't get it. I just can't do it. Say, God, I'm blanking on this one, y'all.
So you're saying, separate yourself from the feeling.
Yes.
And
let me do an easier one instead of going down the real estate path, because I haven't thought about real estate in a long time. Okay, so you're having a long day, lots going on, and you could say, I am exhausted. I am so tired. I am just exhausted. Now feel the energy of that. I am exhausted. What do you do? Ooh, even more so. How about, I'm Lily, feeling some exhaustion. I'm Lily, feeling like it's been a long day. I am not exhausted. I'm Lily. You are not Lorraine. I mean, you are not tired. You're Lorraine, feeling some tiredness, right?
So you're saying to recognize the thought. You're saying recognize your thought, whatever it is. Like, for instance, I could give you a good example.
Okay.
I jumped in the shower this morning, and the water went cold very fast. So I have a lot of hair, so it was very, very cold. So the thought is recognizing that thought, that it's cold, and then turning it back into a better thought that it is okay that it's cold, and still not let it get you down for the whole day, and to turn it around that I'm lucky that I have water running.
There you go.
And a warm house.
Isn't it interesting? I am feeling so cold now from this water. Isn't it interesting? I wouldn't even notice how wonderful my hot water is if I wasn't lacking my hot water right now.
Right. And it really makes you feel alive.
That's one way to say it.
And it gets you going very quickly too, because you don't waste any time.
It is. So you can really get in what you're saying about the turning it around. Let's look at that as an appreciation. Now, with what you are feeling, the cold water, you can really appreciate your nice shower, the warm water you usually have. You can appreciate the fact that when you get out, you've got a nice dry towel to dry off with, right? And it's going to, and you can change those thoughts to, whoo, this is invigorating. Or you can say, this is terrible. I hate this. Rah, 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 rah. Or you can say, woo, I am awake today, right?
And get right to business. I think for a lot of people, when something doesn't go as planned, people allow themselves to shut down, and they allow themselves to really pull from the thoughts of what you're saying, of their subconscious, to affect continual moments of their day, and then look at it that, well, now they weren't productive because they were just concentrating on those subliminal thoughts that are not helping them move forward. So does that make sense? Okay, so I'm trying to speak generally. So when someone has a thought that might not be a perfect thought, maybe there's a long line at Starbucks and they can't grab their coffee, now they're going to be late for their appointment. We all work so fast in our life that in order to change the outcome, we definitely need to change our thoughts. And do you want to go ahead and speak about what that tapping is?
Well, I can do that. I do want to really emphasize that we can change our thoughts. We can change our
Hmm.
thinking. And one of the things that people get tripped up in is to think that they have to go from way down here to way up here in one leap. That's just too far to go. But if you're feeling down here, you can pop up just a little bit, right? And then you can bring yourself
Hmm.
up just a little bit more. So I think that's one of the problems with my problems, at least with affirmations, is they're way too positive. They're way up here, and you can't. Maybe some people can. I can't make it from here to here. I have to go up incrementally. Maybe I can make some hops and some leaps. So,
Talk
yep.
talk to that a little bit, Lily. How do you talk to yourself? I continually, the self-talk is a huge thought for me. So as you said, I also agree. Affirmation seems so pie in the sky. That's not for me. I mean, I can say it all I want, but if I don't feel it inside, then it's not gonna, it's not, it just isn't. Um, so give some shifts, not of I'm $1 million earner now if I'm not, because that's an affirmation that I can't feel and believe. So help us tweak the language though to be those little incremental shifts that we all need to work with on a daily basis. And I want to ask one more question too, and I don't want to forget it, is when someone cuts us down in a way that we feel cut down, I want you to talk to that one too. So
When someone cuts us down in a way that we do feel cut down, that they kind of
they
zing it
may
right
not
to the
admit
center.
it. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. Someone could say something to me that Lorraine would have no twinge of anything on. But if I somehow that's a sharp point for me, I can allow that to ruin my day. So I want you to help us talk to shifting those things as well. I really want to try to get some tools really that we can all use because we all have these issues go on constantly.
Okay. I want to tell you a little story. I'm not sure where I read this, but it was a lovely story. Two women are in a grocery store, and one has a toddler who is wailing, wailing. And the mother is saying, honey, it's going to be okay. We'll be out of here soon, and it's going to be just fine. When we get home, we can relax. It's just going to be lovely, and I'm going to take care of you. I know you don't like it right now, but we will get through it. We will get through it. And the other woman said, oh, you are really talking so sweetly to your child. And the mother said, I'm not talking to my child, I'm talking to me. So sometimes I do think it's so valuable to talk to ourselves as if we are that precious child who's having a bad day. Oftentimes, you get in the wrong line at Starbucks, and then you get in the wrong line at the grocery store, and you pick the wrong lights, and why, I can't do anything right today. Well, if you say that, your subconscious is listening. And what it's hearing is, I can't do anything right. And is that the lesson that you want to give that precious child? Right. So encouraging, sweet thoughts. As you would, what would you say to a friend who's having a bad day? Treat yourself as a good friend, right?
Yeah.
Some people, the way they talk to themselves, there's no way they would talk to a friend that way. If they were their own
Hmm.
friend, they'd probably be out of there. Why do I
Mm-hmm.
want to hang out with you? You're constantly criticizing me. So,
Right.
does that speak to the first question
It
of
does to be
encouraging
mindful.
ourselves?
Yeah, yeah. Or this, even though I'm not where I want to be, I'm better than I was yesterday. I think that's the incremental kind of conversations I can. Who I am is not what I was yesterday, and it's not where I want to be tomorrow. But that in itself just lifts. I'm taking little steps every day toward something, and I think
There's
those
a
little shifts.
wonderful, go ahead.
Go ahead.
There's a wonderful nighttime technique. I mentioned this earlier that I asked my clients to do a nighttime self-hypnosis technique. And it was, it's been around since the mid 1800s. Emile Coué put this together. And at the time, he called it positive conscious auto suggestion. positive, number one. Conscious, you're aware of what you're doing. Auto suggestion, and he's getting into the realm of advertising, what I was mentioning before. And the phrase that you say is every day and every way I'm better and better. And that's true. Every day we know more. Every day we are smarter. Every day we have another opportunity to be to do it right. If we messed up one thing yesterday, we've got an opportunity to redo it today. And the way, if you want to know how I have people do that, would you like to learn it?
Sure, please.
Okay. All right. So every night after your head hits the pillow and before you fall asleep, there's your dog.
Yeah.
It's chewing the bone, right?
No, just
That's
someone came to the
hysterical.
front door. Hi, Joe. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
So every night before you go to sleep, say this 20 times. And the way you count off 20 times, because you're supposed to be concentrating on this phrase, not counting, right? Just count off on your fingers. Every day and every way, I'm better and better. Every day and every way, I'm better and better. Every day and every way, I'm better and better. Now you do 5, and then the other hand back to the first hand, to the second hand. And that way, if you do fall asleep, you will be able to kind of remember almost where you were. You know, I've already been here twice, so I must be, you know, over here. Now,
Or it
so
relaxed you enough to go to sleep.
that too.
It relaxed you enough to go to sleep.
But what will happen is when you start to put yourself down, that conscious, positive conscious auto-suggestion will pop up and go, wait a minute, every day and every way I'm better and better. And it's really funny when it starts coming to your awareness that oh, wow, this is not silliness. This is doing something that's working. I'm actually getting something in my brain. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So when you use your subconscious mind to try to work on changing that negativity, it will work with you. The problem with affirmations when you don't is that the subconscious mind disagrees with it. And your subconscious mind will win out over willpower every single time. Willpower is good for a little while, right? And then it just blows apart. You can muscle through some things, but when stress happens, you're having a series of unfortunate events, that subconscious, that protective aspect of your organism, your mechanism, will take over and pull you back to be safe. Well, maybe I shouldn't try it. Maybe it's not for me. Maybe nobody wants to hear from me. Does that make sense? Okay. So does that speak to the first question?
It does. Thank you.
About self-talk? Okay. And if anybody wants that directions, hang on one second, I'll get a little card, okay?
Oh, good.
Yeah. And somebody just said too, I heard someone say willpower is like a battery.
Interesting.
So
you got to keep
I'll
recharging it, meaning you have to recharge it.
All right.
So,
okay. I'll send, if anybody wants that self-hypnosis, those instructions, I can send you a PDF, okay?
Oh, great,
and
great.
I'll put that information up on a card in just a minute. So second question was when someone cuts you down in a way that you feel it, and somebody, Walter Peterson again, writes in, the best method is telling yourself, I'm better than this, I am worthy, I am positive, and block out those negative emotions. Let positive emotions fill the void. That's terrific. Absolutely. The thing that's interesting about somebody cutting you down in a way that you feel it, so they are striking a chord of truth within you. There's something in you that believes that. So why not take that as an opportunity to say, why do I believe that? What is it about me that rings inside of me, that resonates inside of me? And then forgive yourself for it. As Walter comes in, remind yourself of the good things about yourself, what you do right, your successes. Find a better feeling thought. Look for something that makes you smile. You know, if you're really, really down and it's hard to find anything, successes, if you're really down on yourself, you might think about a puppy or a kitten, something soft and furry, a baby. It's best to think of somebody that hasn't peed on you, pooped on you, or spit up on you, or betrayed you, right? But usually, though, when I think about puppies, I think of seeing a little puppy, and I was holding him, and he just let go in my hand. So,
That may not be your better thought.
it was a funny
One of
moment.
the things that I've also thought is sometimes we let people hurt us who really don't make a difference in our life. You know, someone who says something like, "Oh, you can't do that." Now, if it's a stranger and they aren't of value to me, it really doesn't matter what they think. If it's my father who says that, and he didn't, by the way, but if it's my father, that means something. So I think in many ways, an awful lot of us allow something in that really they weren't important to us anyway. That's not someone's opinion is not that. Someone's opinion of us cannot allow us to change our opinion of ourselves. You know, so there might be a grain of truth. I understand exactly what you're saying. Kind of analyze that for yourself. Are you feeling that way? Is that why it hurt you? That's usually the hurt. It's usually not who it comes from. Put that grain of truth in there and kind of explore it.
It might be interesting to say, when did I first feel this way? Follow that feeling back to a prior event that it's resonating with. And is there still, it might be an event where someone said something, and you can go back to that prior event and say, really, what else was going on with that person? Were they talking about me? Were they having a bad day? Is this about me? I interpreted in a comment personally. Is that prior event, is that interpretation still valid? Right? And then when the person in the present day says something ugly or rude, again, it's an interpretation. Is it really about me, or is it really about them? So when someone says something ugly to you, there's a phrase that a friend says oftentimes: if you spot it, you got it. So if someone, if you're putting someone else down, it's probably because they are mirroring something that you don't like in yourself. So I know I'm flipping the tables a little bit. Now it's not someone attacking me, but it's me saying something about someone else. If I see something in them I don't like, it's probably more about me.
That whole mirror.
So,
that whole thing of mirror. You know, you attract what you're putting out. So it's worth a conversation with yourself to explore that.
So I might get a little woo-woo or spiritual on you, but when someone is giving you negativity, thank them for the lesson. And then do something else with it. You know, bless you. Thank you for the opportunity to that's okay. Thank you for the opportunity to see this about myself. Maybe this is something I want to work on. Maybe it's more about you. And just bless them and send them on their way. Here's another way to do it. Is to, I offer you back your negativity. It's not mine. Now you have to do it with a heart, not a you're not slinging mud at them. But what you're doing in effect is refusing to participate. Right.
See, I love that. And in many cases, I think both family situations sometimes and a business situation. Tools to walk ourselves just away from it. Sometimes we need to stop and be able to think about it before reacting or overreacting. And maybe some tools of just when somebody tries to engage you in a place, in a direction you don't want to go or you're not prepared to go.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to engage, and you've
So
got the
true.
right and the ability to just disengage yourself kindly. That may be worth thinking about. Let me get back to you. But just to extract yourself and
Mm-hmm.
take the initiative, because you still are the one who's in control of how you behave and how you react. And I think that's a
So
lot of things
true.
that we forget about. It is still my right and my obligation because I'm the one in charge of who I am and how I react.
I
And I think
like that. Go ahead.
go ahead, go ahead.
I I think we can take a page from politicians on this one. Have you noticed? Have you noticed that politicians often do not answer the question asked?
Mm-hmm.
They have prepared ahead. They know exactly what they're going to say. They know their talking points, and they're going to say them, regardless of what's asked. I don't know about you all, but I am thinking about the question and responding to the question or the ball that's been lobbed my way. And I forget that I can just sidestep it and let it go by. I don't have to address that.
We
You know,
learn that with our children. You learn it with your kids. When they ask you, Mommy, 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 can I? You learn to say, let me think about that. At least I did.
well, I know
But
there was a day when our children did that mommy, mommy, mommy thing, and we finally said, all right. And one of them said, oh, good, I knew we could get you to give in.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
We've
Oh my
all
gosh.
learned it, but we've all learned that as kids how to do it. Then we learned as parents how to stop it. But I think that many times in the work environment or maybe with other people, we feel the need to have to answer and really to be present and constant. And sometimes things just don't even need an answer. They don't need a conversation. Let's think about that and I'll get back to you. And really mean
Well,
it.
oh yeah, and really mean it. But it's there again, awareness. Know that your energy is kind of low. It's been a long day. You're not going to make the best answer, and you want to give it some more thought. So defer that conversation. I recently read or heard about the effect of multiple decisions. We have to make multiple decisions all day long, even to the extent of which of my 600 emails do I need to read and which I need to delete. And all of those decisions drain down our energy. So we have less energy for, let's just call them interesting interactions that we might otherwise, early in the day, you've got, for me, I know I've got more energy. In the afternoon, it's not a good time for me to make decisions or to respond to something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So for someone who finds themselves, give us a technique or two, and I don't want to run into tapping, I don't think, but maybe it still does. You're feeling exhausted and there's still a whole lot more day left in the day. Give us some tools to be able to be better with that.
All right. Acknowledge what is. I'm feeling exhausted. And I still have a lot more to do today. And so even though I'm feeling exhausted, I'm willing to bring up some more energy. I'm willing to do the things I need to do. Even though it's been a long day and I feel kind of depleted, I'm willing to feel better. I'm willing. Willing is a great word. And I do this a lot with tapping. I use willing, I use choosing, but you can talk yourself into it also. Even though I'm exhausted and I've got a lot to do, I'm choosing to let the most important things bubble up. I'm choosing to see what's most important. And I do this a lot because I've got way too many, Susan, as you know from last night, way too many things that I could do, can't always get them done. So I'm choosing to let the most important things come to my awareness and do those. Is this answering? Okay, so let's just do a little tapping on that. If you're going to only use one tapping point, this is the one that works for a lot of people. And if you make a C with your thumb and your fingers, and you'll come down, see those bony collarbone ends? You're going to come down just below those. There's a soft spot on either side of the sternum. Okay. The cheat is that if you're doing your fingers, you're going to hit it. So just tap there, just there, or you can just hold it and say, even though I'm exhausted and I've got a lot more to do today, I'm willing to take a moment for myself. Even though I've got a lot to do today, I'm willing to generate some more energy to do it. Even though I've got a lot to do, I'm choosing to do the most important things. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. So is it the action of, is it the physical action, or is it the speaking? Is it the combination of the two? Is it the recognition, the physical action and the speaking?
Well, remember the woman in the grocery store talking to herself? You know, I know you're having a hard time. It's going to be okay. I think we all want to be recognized. And even that little part of us that's feeling worn out, exhausted, I think that part of us wants to be recognized. Yeah, you've worked really hard today. It's been a hard day. I get it. I see you. And the tapping is very interesting, is that it is not woo-woo. It took me a long time to find this out, but it reduces cortisol, which is a stress hormone, by up to 50%. It increases serotonin, which is your feel-good hormone. Everything's safe, all is well, feel good. Those two are inversely proportional. So if you're reducing one, you are increasing the other. And you can't help but feel better. It might be dramatic. It might be amazingly subtle. It might not feel like anything at all, but it is changing your neurochemistry. So if you ever see me driving around town, or, you know, it's a heavy traffic day and you look over and you see me, I'll probably be doing this. One hand on the wheel, you know, tapping away. and reframing. And reframing, you know, oh my gosh, I'm going to be late. Okay, this is giving me a chance to breathe. Okay, well, how can I use this moment?
How often should we give ourselves a break? As in, you're working for hours at a time, and I don't know about you all, but I find that it's like digging a hole and I'm digging it deeper, but I'm not getting anywhere. So a physical movement, a physical change, it actually, I guess that's what tapping is as well. But some kind of a physical movement out of where you are stuck.
Definitely.
Maybe.
The good old change of scenery. If you've got a lot to do, try and look at it in 45-minute chunks, 30 to 45-minute chunks, because you can survive 45 minutes, right? I'm going to do this for 45 minutes. I'm going to concentrate for 45 minutes. And then I'm going to get up and get some water, pet the cat, stretch my legs, just get up and stretch, look out the window. That physical movement is very important. If you're on a computer a lot or on the telephone a lot, we sit way too much. That shortens the psoas muscle, which goes from the spine to the hips, to the thigh bones, and creates back pain. That muscle is not meant to be shortened all that time. So it's great for your body to get up and stretch as well. So I would say 45-minute chunks. And if you want to give yourself a real treat, you know, call a friend, go do something nice. I'm not a big Facebook person. I know that's not good, but I'm for promoting, but I'm really not, because every time I got on Facebook, it looks like everybody else is having a lot of fun. And then I think, I'm not. I'm working, you know.
The highlight reel. Exactly
from the game.
Everybody else, everybody's highlight reel. You know, you don't put the crummy stuff. You don't put the crummy stuff, which is good. I don't really want to see everybody's negative stuff either, but it can be tough.
It's like those Christmas letters where everybody is stellar. You know, it just wears you out, right? You want a real letter.
Exactly.
And that's a hard thing to remember, is that, it's right.
Yeah, it is. So Lily, tell us how people can get in touch with you. I think it's fascinating. Okay. The the tapping is something I want to have you back on to really let's talk about what that is and what that can do for somebody on a really regular basis. I think it's an amazing tool to be able
Great.
to use. I love what you said about, I come up with highlights of, working on recognizing the private chatter that goes on in our heads, choosing to explore a feeling if you decide you need to explore it, or choosing to dismiss it as invaluable. I think the power of being able to choose things and taking that power. The nighttime self hypnosis talk, I think, is wonderful to put yourself to sleep with. Better than counting sheep.
And better than the news.
Far
Better than the news. That's right.
But I want people to know how to reach you, and if they want to continue the conversation.
Great. And I pulled up a couple of pages that I'll also send if someone is interesting. One is, let's see how I do this. Okay, switch game. And that's about disconnecting yourself from the feeling. So that there's this I use with clients, moving up the emotional scale. I can send also. Just to, we were talking about you.
What is that?
What is that? It's just scale? It's a technique just to notice where you are and allow yourself to feel a little better. If you're in a state of overwhelm, it's really hard to become joyful, right? Mm-hmm. It's way too far away. But if you're feeling overwhelmed and you move to, if you're so overwhelmed that you're just, I can't do it, and you move up to pessimism, well, I'll never get this done, but at least I can do this. That's better than being overwhelmed, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Contentment. Okay, I didn't get it all done, but I did get these 3 things done. That's a little bit higher, a little bit higher. So that's one thing to that I'd love to share, and the self-hypnosis. But if anybody wants to, I have to look around the camera. That's my website.
Lily at lilyhudson.com.
Okay, that's my email. And then the website is lilyhudson.com. So if you want to send me an email, I'll send these 3 pages to you. If you want to jump on, if you think, there's something you want to talk about, there's something that I might be able to help you with tapping or self-hypnosis work. Sleep is a big one. We were laughing a little while ago about sleep. Sleep is huge, isn't it? So yes. If you want to have a conversation and see a little bit more about what I do, how I might be able to help. Thanks to Susan Thetford, I went in and found I did Bitly, Susan. Aren't you proud of me?
Yay, good for you.
I did it. And instead of a string about 8 miles long for that website, that's, Bitly Chat with Lily. So thank you. I am teachable.
It makes a difference. Well, you work with people on weight loss, overcoming, well, tell us what you do. Tell us what your daily is.
I focus a lot on women who are dealing with weight and eating issues, because really when we're talking about food, it's never really about the food, is it? There's a lot of stories back there. I end up working with people being able to talk with the people that they're in relationship with in a clear way, to state what they need. There are a number of things. It's really interesting. Somebody will come in for one thing and they say, what I really want is this. I want to lose weight, but what I really want is peace in my house. And what you understand is that the chaos in the house is driving the eating. An old story can be driving the eating. I mentioned the other day that I worked with a woman who came in, her husband, in a group with her husband, and he was so concerned because her blood pressure was skyrocketing, just going out of control. She came in twice. We did some tapping, talked about really the fear behind the fear. And she called me one day, and the testimonial is on my testimonials page. It's just 2 minutes of audio. But she was really pleased that she had been able to learn tapping, Now she still has this organic issue going on. It's also driven by stress, but now she's got another tool to work with it. So that's what I love doing, is teaching people how to take care of themselves, emotional self-management, right? We are, as particularly I think as women, we are so trained and programmed, this is just our nature, to take care of everybody else at the expense of ourselves. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when the whole thing of when you're in an airplane, if you need your oxygen mask, to put it on your face first.
Yeah.
But I didn't know this. It's not only because you can't help somebody if you can't breathe, but it's also to show that child that this is not a scary thing. I'm putting it on my face. It's not a scary thing. The next thing is going to be to you. So we model, when we take care of ourselves,
that's great.
We model what we should be doing and what we're teaching our children to do for themselves, male or female. It doesn't much matter one way or the other. If we can't really recognize what's going on with ourselves, we can't help anybody else. And if we don't take the time to do that, we're not showing them that we're valuable, and they are too.
And then this situation is perpetuated, right?
Yep.
If we don't take care of it. That was just absolutely, I'm giving you claps here. That was wonderful.
Yay!
Because we
I
do
don't
have
remember where I read it, but it made total sense. Yeah.
Yeah. If you won't be your own advocate, if you won't take the 5 minutes to take care of your emotions and your health, because really our health does start, I think, with our emotions, then how can you expect anyone else to respect you, treat you well, or learn to do it better? You know, we want our children to have it easier, to do it better. And I think even the best mother in the world, I'm sure, would say that she has messed up in a myriad of ways. So we're all just trying to get better. And every day in every way, I'm better and better, right?
That is the perfect place to end. Thank you, Lily, so much for coming on. I really do want to have you back to really teach us in depth more of that tapping technique.
Thank you. I would love to.
When I remember to use it, I feel much better. Sometimes I'll get off the boat and then go, whoa, time to jump back on there, because it really, truly does make a big difference.
Well, then sometimes you need to be reminded, right?
Always.
But thank you both very much for having me on. I enjoyed it. It wasn't as scary as I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lily. And everybody can reach you at lily@lilyhudson.com.
That's right.
We put that in the comments. On Wednesdays, we will be back, Lorraine, and we will be talking about. Actually, we had a financial.
The mechanics of business. We're going to talk about. We're going to have a surprise guest that we're going to talk about. But on Wednesday, it is the mechanics of business. So stay tuned.
Thank you so much, entrepreneurs.
Thanks very much.
Everybody's got it.
Have a terrific week.
Thanks. Bye.
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 Oh, I need to stop the recording. I think I paused recording. Now how do I stop it? Yeah, I see where I stop it. Stop.
It's still recording.
I know. I paused it, but I don't know why it's not stopping. Why don't you try to stop it, Lorraine? Can you stop it?
I can't stop it. As